Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Bitcoin, kind of see what's going on, of course. And we all know yesterday was kind of a bloodbath regarding altcoins and especially Bitcoin as well. Obviously, they're the catalyst. We're going to look at that and much more. Help us understand support and resistance levels, some dollar cost average targets, some things that probably might be, just advantageous to understand moving into this week here. That being said, I'm not a financial advisor. I hope you can learn something here today. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much and welcome. And I do look forward to hopefully working with you. If you'd like to become a community member, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. And what we do is we have a trading academy, community, and signal group where you can learn and benefit from all those resources essentially and just become a better trader. I've helped a lot of people so far and it's really rewarding. So thank you again so much to all my community members for the positive feedback I've received from you. Thank you. Taking a look here though at Bitcoin. Here's kind of the big picture, and we already know that, right? Completely bearish. There's no other way around it. The price is moving down. And the question is, how much lower will it go? Well, there's a few things we want to try to look at to try to identify that, which is typically in most cases previous support and resistance levels, as well as Fibonacci retracement lines. So we're going to look at both of those here and make sure we understand kind of what's the deal. And if we look at the big picture here, of course, just say the daily. In fact, why don't we go ahead and go to the weekly, just to kind of get perspective here as well. We can kind of see that we're below both moving averages, the 20 and the 50 on the weekly, while we're above the 200, which is fantastic. That's still all the way down around 22,000. That's actually at this lowest Fibonacci retracement line at about 22,000. Now, do I think we're going to see 22,000 from Bitcoin? Probably not, but that is probably an extreme worst case scenario. All right, so again, just something to know there. And if you hadn't seen my previous videos or have me cover this essentially, what I want to look at and just kind of show you is basically what's something we need to be aware of here, because the last time the price moved below the 20-day SMA on the monthly, we had a pretty significant decrease. And I think it was somewhere in the range of 50 to 60% from top to bottom. Let's go with a loose estimate, just say 55%. We had a 55% correction once the price came underneath that, and took about, how many months? That's roughly 6 months to come back up above. Okay, so if we take that same school of thought, right, and we see that we're underneath this here, if we take from the top to the lowest point, right around 50% puts us down around 20,000. All right, not saying that's going to happen per se. A lot needs to happen to get there, but it does seem like we're kind of on our way there. And the bottom line here is that we don't have a lot of support below 30,000. So if we do lose that, there's a good chance we could very well see somewhere in the range of 20, 24, 22. That is a possibility. I just want you to be open to that. Is that going to happen? A lot needs to happen between now and then. First, I don't think we have the kind of climate right now to allow that to happen. But once again, the recent past here is kind of proving that we are on a downtrend and this could likely continue. One last thing too to look at, if we were to look back here as well for this downtrend here, we can see that when it came below the 20, obviously it continued down, but that was that was November, just basically a 2-week period in November that really pushed the price down. So again, we're in a pretty strong 1 week here so far to the downside, so we could experience at least one more week of downside before it corrects itself. Again, just looking at different potential options. There's no guarantees, of course, on that, because again, history repeats itself, but it doesn't always have to. It's an interesting thing that happens with trading, and it's just something to be aware of. So that's not foolproof at all, just letting you know that we do have potential to drop below 30,000 in this potential decrease that we're seeing here. All right, so that being said, looking at the daily, kind of back on track here, we're underneath all moving averages, as we've already acknowledged. We are well below 50 on the RSI, pretty much holding us into this bearish type of zone. Keep in mind, we could very well see a bounce back here soon. It may not be super significant. I doubt it will break 38 or 40,000. But if you look at this here and you see the RSI getting closer to 30, anytime in the past when the price comes under 30, has a tendency of coming right back up and correcting itself. Okay. Now, there's no guarantees, of course, but anytime you previously see the price hit 30, there's typically some kind of a bounce back, some kind of rally within a week or two. Okay. So again, we may not see that this week. I think it is probably likely we're going to see something this week, at least to the upside, some kind of pushback, so to speak, because there is definitely a lot of good value right now at 34,500. So again, I do think we're going to see some kind of bounce back, but will it be immediate? Will it be instant? Hard to say specifically. It's going to be very interesting to see the market open tomorrow morning and see what happens. But between now and there, we just kind of got to acknowledge the fact that everything's completely bearish. Just because we're close to 30 on the RSI does not mean we're going to get a bounce. But once again, there's more potential for the price to recover because we're so overextended, or getting really close to being completely overextended on the daily. All right, and a daily overextension is definitely something you want to pay attention to and acknowledge. MACD is obviously in a significant downtrend here, so this is giving us every sign that we're going to continue down lower. Right. Once again, potential for a bounce back, but I would not put your money on that. There are some altcoins right now that are doing very well, but for the most part, a lot of them got really hit hard yesterday, and we can actually see that. Let's touch on that too really quick. If we look at Bitcoin dominance, we can go ahead and see that yesterday was a pretty strong. So you look at the daily, you can see yesterday was a pretty strong market, Bitcoin dominance day, and the price was going down for Bitcoin. So what does that tell you? When the price is going down from Bitcoin and dominance is going up, that implies that altcoins are getting wrecked. And yesterday we got wrecked, obviously. We know that the majority of altcoins got hit anywhere between 5 to 20%. And they're selling off quick because of the fact that they're profitable, right? But certain coins like Algorand, GMT, I think DYDX, some of them are actually recovering quite nicely right now, and they're doing very well considering the circumstances. So the important thing right now is try to identify those coins and to pay attention to them, but also be very careful with your long positions right now. Like, I know it sounds weird, but we're trading right now without a stop loss, and in a lot of cases, it's not really recommended to do that. But the climate right now kind of requires that, because a 5% correction from Bitcoin gives us a 20% correction for most altcoins. So just something to be aware of. Again, there's no guarantees in this market. So if you're going to be trading without a stop loss, for example, make sure it's a very small amount that you're trading with, money you're willing to lose, and of course, be okay with the results if that were to happen. Use your risk tolerance. That's the bottom line there. I try to reiterate that to my community as well too, because my risk tolerance is much different than other people's. But when I do riskier things, I typically invest less, and there's kind of a reason for that. Anyways, let's get back on track here. So on the daily, we've already reviewed that. Let's look back at the 4 hour. We're underneath all moving averages. We're getting closer to the 20 again, but once again, being back up above the 20-day SMA on the 4 hour really isn't like an impactful moment. We want to be back up over the 50 if anything, but generally speaking, a 20 would be very helpful to help us understand we may be shifting that momentum. But again, we keep going lower and lower. There's no doubt we're lower lows and lower highs, and that consistency, until that breaks, we don't have any confirmation that we're going to be trending upwards. In fact, we've got a lot of room to grow before we can see a continuation of the upside. But once again, with this kind of damage in the last 48 to 72 hours, there's a great chance we will see some type of correction, likely when market opens tomorrow. But will it sustain? That's still yet to be seen, right? That remains to be seen, and we don't know that yet. But another stark reality here, we're underneath 30 on the RSI now. This could potentially work as a resistance and push the price action down further. For the most part, though, 30 on the RSI on the 4 hour is in majority of the time we're going to see a recovery from there. If we look at the history here, we can see when the price came down under 30, we had a little rally right there. It may not seem like a lot because we're zoomed out, but that was somewhere in the range of about 2.5% to 3%. So again, we're not going to see monstrous returns tomorrow. I don't think we're going to see 38 to 40,000 range. That would probably be a resistance level if we were to get there anyways. But what we could very well see is, somewhere in the range of a 2 to 5% correction to the upside here soon. Just based on the fact that it's getting pushed down hard, we still have a lot of room here, of course, within this trend line, and it would make the most sense if they do want to continue to drive the price down, to do it slowly and steadily instead of a significant drop. Because once again, significant drops have significant recoveries, and we are almost to that point right now. It feels like we're going to have some type of relief rally soon, but again, there's definitely no guarantees. Everything's pointing to the downside right now. That's just the stark reality of it. So again, be very, very cautious with long positions right now. Last thing we want to take a look at here, and this will probably be pretty obvious, but the cloud is above the price action, significantly above. So we have, no indication here to even close our short positions. And thankfully, we hit all of our profit targets with Bitcoin. We hit our second profit target with BNB, some really nice shorts. They're 10x leverage. And those worked out very well. In fact, Algorand, we took a long position with Algorand last night, and that also worked out. We hit our first profit target. But what I'm getting at, though, and the reason why I mention that is because right now, it's telling us we still have potential for downside. In other words, the cloud's telling us here the lagging span has to intersect with the price action, so we want to keep our short position open if you have one. The lagging span is below the conversion line, and ultimately we're obviously well below both leads on the cloud. So generally speaking, there's literally nothing here that tells us we want to take a long position. Okay, longs are getting wrecked, and you want to be cautious and careful when you take them. All right, so again, a lot of different schools of thought, a lot of different things to go on here, but that's kind of where we're at. Last thing I want to cover too, I mentioned this earlier, is that we want to look at support and resistance levels to kind of identify. And you're probably wondering, what are these colors down here? Well, I just kind of made it really simple. This green area here, of course, is the current support zone. And this red area here is previous support zone. So what we do is we look back at the price action. If you look at here, last year, the price ranged basically on one-day candlestick closes between 31,500 and basically 29.7. We could just say 30,000. So between 30,000 and 31.5 was a support channel for the price action Bitcoin last summer when the price was unwilling to go any lower. Now, granted, it worked all the way down to there first and retested it 3 times and came back. But at this point, we could very well see that kind of price action again based on the current trajectory. Okay. And see here, as far as support levels currently, we do have a potential support which may likely work as a resistance at 35,000. We've also got a secondary support at 33,000. So between 33 and 35, we should experience some recovery, or just say some resiliency to the downside, to kind of help us stay within this recent range. If we lose the recent range for this year, we're going to have to fall back on secondary range from last year and see kind of where the price action goes. But here's what's kind of cool about this. Fibonacci retracement levels are perfect here. What it's doing is it's telling us exactly 35,000 is a support level. That was a previous support level here. It's also showing us here as well that if we look back the last year, I know it's kind of hard to see, but right around 31,500, I drew this line out, and it's equally perfect right on the Fibonacci retracement line. So right now at this point, Fibonacci is pretty much telling us exactly where things want to go, and 35,000 is the key level support we're kind of testing at the moment. See if that holds. The day hasn't closed yet. I'd be willing to guess that we're probably going to close below that, but tomorrow will be probably a different story. Expecting some green tomorrow, just based on the overall sentiment and the way things are going. But again, if we do see green tomorrow, don't get excited. It's completely a bluff, and there's a strong likelihood that even if it lasts for a few days, we're going to get rejected at 38 or 40,000. Those are 2 very strong support and resistance levels we've had previously, both reaffirming themselves as resistance levels now. Okay, so all right, so I just want to make sure you're careful and cautious. That's all I can say, is to proceed with caution, trying to get optimistic if the price were to recover. The bottom isn't in yet, and until we spend more time going sideways, retesting support levels, we're not going to have, a leg to stand on for any type of long positions. Okay, so just be very careful is all I ask. Again, hope you learned something here. Obviously, if you did, comment below. If you got some insight, feel free to provide that. Love to hear it. And if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is the site. Link in the description below. I do look forward to working with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy Sunday once more. Thank you.